I think that, when, I know that my dad, for instance, when my grandpa passed away, he really took to religion, and it would be when he'd be going to church even more than usual. And I think, for us, faith is, it's a constant reminder, and we like to have it around, but also, when it's in difficult times, it's something that keeps us strong and helps us look forward.
Paulina Constantini was born in a strong Italian and Mexican household, and she says family and faith played a major role in her life growing up.
So my dad's originally from Los Angeles, and so he started working around El Segundo and moved to Torrance and bought this house in the 80s. And then shortly after, my mom and him got married and she moved in, and that's when I was born. So I've been living in this house my whole life. And then 2 years later, my brother was born. So yeah, and we're the only two siblings. Being Italian and Mexican, those are two pretty big cultures that have their own, traditions and background and history. And while I think that's one of the struggles I had was going to school as a young kid and not necessarily being able to connect with the other students, because I remember asking my mom to make me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich because everyone else had them, and she would be sending me with tortas or things that, jarritos, instead of a Capri Sun. So it was different than everyone else, and I wanted to fit in.
And she thanks her family for helping her come into her own.
She still, at the end of the day, always instilled how proud we are to be Mexican, and how proud I am to be Italian too, and to always be proud of my roots.
And it was her grandfather who really pushed her to excel in school.
My grandpa, we used to call him Papa Nick. He lived in Italy for a lot of his childhood, then moved here. And he was actually the only grandpa that I had living in Los Angeles. So when I think of my grandpa, I think about he always instilled the family aspect, but he also instilled always doing well in school. And really, I think with him, every time that I'd get an A, he would give me a reward or tell me how proud he was. And I think because he did that, that really instilled something in me that wanted to pursue academics, go to college, and always trying to strive to get an A or do well in school. So I think that was a really important thing. I've always been drawn to business and entrepreneurship. When I was younger, I used to go, my parents told me this, I would go and grab rocks, shiny rocks, and go door to door and be like, you want to buy some rocks? Which I'm thinking now, why would they let me go do that to the neighbors and bother them? But you're a cute little girl, they're like, oh sure, I'll buy your 15-cent rock. But and then doing Girl Scout cookies, I would try to sell those, or lemonade stands.
When Paulina was in middle school, she received devastating news about her grandfather, the man she considered the patriarch of the family.
So he was given 6 months to live when he was first diagnosed, but he, I think, was able to live about 2 years.
And it was the first time Paulina had to deal with the pain of losing a loved one.
That was definitely hard for me. Plus, I was in the 7th grade, so I think I was 12 when he passed away. And I think that really hit my dad very hard because, like I said, he's all about family. And seeing his dad get diagnosed with cancer was a very difficult thing for him, especially seeing him as the patriarch of the family and this very strong father figure in his life. For me, that was really difficult too, because I saw my dad trying to stay strong for our family and not really tell us too much about what was going on, but still let us be in the know. And it was really hard for me, growing up. I was in the 6th grade when he was battling cancer, and a lot of my weekends would be spent going to visit him. He was at City of Hope, which is in Duarte, and I remember having to put on a full suit and like the mask and gloves to just go in to like see him and like, you know, give him a hug, because they don't want him to get like, you know, sick. I think it was like surreal. Like you don't really think it's possible or it's true. And I think since it was like the first death I had experienced, I didn't know how to feel. Like I remember being really, really emotional and like at his funeral crying a lot, and not seeing like many of the adults crying. I think they were trying to like, you know, keep it together and just be happy that they had, you know, gotten to spend some time with him, but I was really emotional. When my grandpa passed away, you know, it really affected the whole family, and that was actually like the first time I had experienced death because I was pretty young. So my dad, he took it upon himself, and like our whole family, actually my grandma and my uncle, they started like a fundraiser that we held in like at our family home every year, and all the proceeds that we'd raise would go to the City of Hope because we were just so thankful for all their help and everything they'd done for my grandpa and making him feel like comfortable and just living a good life for the last couple years. The doctors at City of Hope had been so great in like treating my grandpa and just like giving us, I guess, a little more time with him when he was supposed to have 6 months to live. And actually people at City of Hope used to call my grandpa like the miracle man, because he like kept going and kept trying to beat cancer. I think as you know, we've done more of them, it's now more of like a celebration and just trying to, you know, give back. And just anybody who, you know, during these past 9 years, there have been, you know, close friends that would attend the fundraiser who have now lost family members, and so just trying to honor those people.
To date, they have raised over $150,000 for the hospital. And when Paulina went to college, she continued to find ways to give back to charities that she cared for.
I ended up joining like a sorority, and when I was looking at which sororities I wanted to join, they like tell you which one their philanthropy is. And the one I ended up joining, it was all centered around St. Jude. So Tri-Delta is nationally aligned with St. Jude Children's Hospital. And when I went in and saw that that was their philanthropy, it was like, it really hit home, and I was like, okay, this is the one that I need to join, because cancer was always something that was like in the back of my mind because of what happened with my grandpa. When I finished college in 2016 and I graduated, I moved back here, and since I had always been kind of close to like volunteering and doing things for St. Jude, I wanted to find, you know, I had a lot of free time, like I was working, but I wanted to find something that I could do and like something meaningful.
And that is when her cousin posted a flyer on Facebook with an opportunity that sparked her interest.
And it was kind of like fate. I had been looking for volunteering organizations, and I was gonna maybe do Heal the Bay or other local ones. And then she posted about that, and she was like, it's in Manhattan Beach. So I was like, wow, this is close, and this is like an amazing cause.
Paulina joined Walk with Sally, an organization that provides comfort to children who are living or have lost someone to cancer. When we come back, find out how Paulina used the experience of losing her own grandfather to cancer to help other children in need.
Oh, emojis! I thought the conversation just got dumber.
Ugh, internet trolls, just ignore them.
I like you just the way you are.
I believe in you!
She's a hugger. Give her a squeeze.
Help up the hand.
Ah, there you go.
Thanks, mate.
You're killing it, Jane!
From a very young age, Paulina has had a strong foundation in family, faith, and giving back. And when she learned of an organization where she could help the youth deal with the traumatic emotional experience of living with or losing a parent to cancer, she knew she had to help.
I think that since I had seen what it was like firsthand with my grandpa passing away, and just being really scared of like going to the hospital and seeing him like really sick and just like not the grandpa that I used to remember, it would have been nice to have someone to just hang out with and just like talk to you about that, because I think for my dad it was difficult, and I also probably didn't really understand a lot of what was going on, or like, you know, I knew he was sick, but I didn't know the extent of it or all the technical, you know, what he had necessarily. So I think that's what really made me want to, and just having that connection with someone, being like a big sister to somebody that I could help.
Walk with Sally's mentoring program was founded in 2005.
Yeah, so it was started by Nick Arquette, and he started it because he lost his mother, Sally, when he was fairly young. And so he felt like he didn't have, you know, someone to talk to or be there for, and that's why he went on to start this organization in Manhattan Beach. I mean, it's a great organization. It pairs up kids whose parents or siblings are battling or have succumbed to cancer with mentors. And usually you do around like 6 to 8 hours a month of hanging out with your mentee.
Nick was 11 years old when his life was forever changed by cancer. He says he's always wanted someone in his life who could understand what he was going through at the time. That feeling never left him, and he dived into the world of mentorship.
He's just like a very warm, friendly guy who really cares about, like, I think each and every one of the mentors and the mentees. And it's just like, I think him seeing, you know, this little organization grow and now to what it's become, and I think it's only going to get bigger as more and more people throughout the South Bay hear about it. And I, you know, every time that I do try to talk about it to friends or family, they're just like amazed with what an amazing organization it is, and the word keeps spreading, and I think more and more people are volunteering and knowing about it.
The organization has helped forge over 250 friendships, with many of them lasting 6 to 10 years. Paulina started by volunteering at some of the organization's events and eventually decided to take her role to the next level by becoming a mentor. And after some training, Paulina finally met her mentee.
They set up like a meeting day, and it's with the Walk with Sally team, usually like one representative, and then like we go to her home so that she feels comfortable, right? And so I came. And it was funny because like I was walking to go up to her house, and like I accidentally stepped in mud and got covered, like my whole leg was covered in mud. And when I got to her house, I like knock, and I met her mom, Iselda, who is amazing. And she was like, Arlette's in the bedroom. Like, she was playing with her cousin, and they got a bunch of like felt balls in her hair. And she's like, now she's crying because she can't get them out. And so I was like, oh my god, this is like my experience with the first day. And she finally was able to come out. She was like really embarrassed and shy. And you know, I told her, I was like, don't worry, like I don't care what, you know, that you have like felt balls in your hair. Like I was like, look, I'm covered in mud, like it's fine. So it was just, I was like, oh my god, it's the first day and she's crying already. like this is maybe not a good sign, but it ended up good. Hasn't cried again.
Paulina was paired with Arlette, a 7-year-old girl whose mother was battling cancer.
She has stage 4 lung cancer, but it has metastasized, so it's spread to like her brain and her bone.
Paulina took to the family right away and found that they had many things in common, a strong foundation in faith and a passion for family.
I mean, her mom is amazing. She is just like this funny, warm, like light in the room, and just so caring, so nice. She doesn't get to work obviously anymore, and so her husband, the dad Miguel, has taken on 2 jobs, like works day and night, since Zelda doesn't get to work anymore. But I mean, the most important thing to them, I think, is their family and their kids. I think going back to what I was saying about how like family is like super important to me, I feel like that's the same values that they hold, and I just love getting to spend time with like their whole family. I've gotten to know all of them. I was just like at the little brother's 3rd birthday party, like and baptism on Sunday, spending time with like the whole family and like aunts and grandparents. And I'm just like so happy that they've like been able to invite me into their lives.
And Paulina says the relationships formed through Walk with Sally are not superficial. Real connections are made and long-term friendships are developed.
It's definitely difficult for me because I have grown attached to not only Arlette, the whole family, but like to Iselda, like a lot. Me and her keep in constant communication. Like I'm texting her always to see like how's she doing, how are the treatments, and obviously like it does bring back like memories, but it's just more of like I'm worried for Arlette, right? I don't know how she's going to react or how she's feeling, because I do try to, when I hang out with Arlette, I try to make it about like having a good time and just getting out of her house and, you know, seeing her mom sick and just having her be a kid. So I don't necessarily like talk to her too much about what's going on. But yeah, it is difficult seeing them because I don't want her to pass away. I want to have her in my life and Arlette's for many years to come.
And although their relationship is relatively new, Paulina's watching this young girl grow up in front of her eyes.
Yeah, she's like a spitfire. She is going to be like so lively when she grows up. She's kind of like, she knows how to be, like she's very playful, but like kind of like a jokester. She's gonna have a good sense of humor when she grows up, and like, cause she'll kind of tease me sometimes. Like the other day I was like, it was my birthday, and she's like, how old are you gonna be, 35? I'm like, you know, I'm not 35.
Every mentor commits to at least 6 hours a month for a year.
Instead of maybe going out to like the bars on a Friday night or whatever, I now channel my time to like, oh, I'm gonna stay in on Friday, and because I have to, or because I'm going to hang out with Arlette tomorrow morning and Saturday morning. And so I think it's made me just focus on like the more important things in life. And I think a lot of the times people get so caught up with like, you know, work or school, partying, different things like that. And there's just way more important things in life, and like just giving back I think is a very humbling thing that people can do. I think it's made me just really appreciative of everything.
So now tell me a little bit about this bracelet.
Yeah, so this is a bracelet that I made with Arlette, and you know, we just had, it was a little, I think it was actually my own bracelet bead set that I had, and I brought it one day so that we could make, I didn't really have anything, you know, to plan, like going to the bowling or movies or anything, so I was like, oh, we'll make bracelets. And we made bracelets, and it ended up being her favorite activity that we've done. And so, yeah.
So these are friendship bracelets that you both have?
Yeah.
Aww.
And she was really excited that it glowed in the dark. Hers.
Kids are matched with the best possible mentor based on their interests and experiences, but every connection is different.
I think it has taken a couple months, and I think that's something I would say to other mentors, like don't expect, you know, instant gratification, or like that this friendship is you're gonna see results of like this person really being touched within the first month or first few months. I think like any relationship, it takes time to grow and for people to actually become like comfortable with each other. So I think me and Arlette are finally starting to. At first, when we got matched and I'd hang out with her on the weekends, I'd think, oh my gosh, does she even like hang out with me? Am I just wasting my time? She probably wants to hang out with like her friends instead of me. But now it's like just as enjoyable for her as it is for me, and I don't feel like I'm forcing her. And I just am like so excited to see our relationship grow in the next few years.
Through the program, children have an advocate who can offer them guidance and give them the individual attention they need during these tough times, which is exactly what Nick wanted when he started this organization.
So I guess with like Arlette, the extent of like what I've talked to her about is, you know, how's your mom doing? She's like, oh, she's good, or she was having a difficult time today. And I'll ask, okay, so how are you helping your mom? And she'll say, oh, I cleaned up my toys and my brother's toys, or I helped my older sister make lunch for everybody. So that's like the extent of kind of where I go with Arlette. And I just tell her, you know, be helpful, be like patient. And I know that from what Iselda told me, that sometimes she'll just, like, Arlette will see her mom and start crying because I think she knows she's sick, but I don't know the extent of of what she knows. And then with Naomi, I think she's being older, she does talk somewhat, she knows the extent of what's going on, but I think she is kind of closed off, and that's something that her mentor is working with. Are you excited to be out for summer now? Yeah? What are you up to today? Oh my gosh, how fun. That sounds like a blast. Like I said, I think the fact that I've seen Izelda battling cancer and how strong she is and how close she is to God, and she will go to mass, you know, most Sundays. It's really like brought me closer to, like, you know, I don't necessarily pray for too many things at this time, like, but one thing that I always keep in my prayers to God is her and her family, and just telling him thank you so much for everything that he's given me.
Paulina hopes to continue her relationship with Arlette for years to come, and she would love to see Arlette use her experiences and one day mentor a child in need, just like Paulina did after losing her own grandfather.
I think that my grandpa would have a very large sense of pride in everything that I've been doing. I think that, like, what I've come to today, and like I've heard this from other family members, that you know, it can be easy to you know, write a check to an organization or you know, send money, but like what I'm doing and like actually trying to like touch this person, Arlette's life, it takes a lot of time and just like a certain type of person, and I think he'd be really proud of like the woman that I've become. Joining this program, like at first I was like, oh, you know, this will be good, I can help someone give back, and I think that having this family enter into my life has given me so much more than I was expecting, and it's just been like, I feel like I'm getting touched, and like the real reward is like everything that I'm experiencing now.
Paulina's life took on a different meaning when she became a mentor. She has this young girl who looks up to her, and together their relationship continues to grow. And at the same time, Arlette has a friend who can help her escape her troubles. Through Walk with Sally, hundreds of friendships have been formed, and children in the program receive the comfort they need at a time they need it the most. Paulina plans to mentor Arlette until she is 18 and hopes to stay in her life for years to come after. For Faces of Torrance, I'm your host, Jessie Pierre, speaking to ordinary people doing extraordinary things.